Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today, did the Oklahoma City Thunder just sign Chet Holmgren to the dumbest contract in NBA history? What are we talking about? Well, last week, the Oklahoma City Thunder gave Chet Holmgren a 5-year, $250 million contract extension. This was expected because obviously he was eligible for a new contract after his rookie contract is going to be expiring at the end of the 2025-26 season. Chet Holmgren was the number 2 pick in the draft. This guy was a defensive anchor for the Oklahoma City Thunder championship team. He played pretty well. Maybe there were some moments in the playoffs where it was a little bit shaky for him, but I think most people thought like, okay, this is kind of what we expected out of a contract for Chet Holmgren. Well, not Craig Carton, who is the host of the TV show Breakfast Ball on Fox Sports 1. He went on to his show last week, and he called Oklahoma City Thunder signing Chet Holmgren to the 5-year, $250 million contract one of the dumbest contracts in NBA history, which is really saying something if you look through the history of dumb NBA contracts. So let's go ahead and we'll hear him out. We'll hear his case, and then we'll react to it on the other side.
Chet Holmgren is not, has not, and will not ever be a $50 million a year basketball player. In about 4 years, they're going to have $200 million annually tied up in 3 dudes: Chet Holmgren, Williams, and obviously SGA. I get the SGA deal, makes sense to me, MVP. I get the Williams deal, makes sense to me, second best player. The Chet Holmgren deal will go down arguably as the dumbest contract ever signed in the history of the NBA. So Chet Holmgren last year in 32 games, so he didn't even play half the games for the Oklahoma City Thunder, played less than 30 minutes a game, averaged 15 points a game, shot less than 50%, averaged single-digit rebounds per game, despite the fact that he's 7 foot tall, and had 2 assists per game. You cannot tell me that a guy who played in less than half of their games, who averaged 8 rebounds a game, despite being 7 foot whatever he is, who shot less than 50% and averaged only 15 points a game, is worth $50 million a year.
Okay, I got a lot of things to say. First off, to call it the dumbest contract in NBA history, these are ones I just came up with off the top of my head. The agents of Ben Simmons, Chandler Parsons, Rafe LaFrentz, Joel Embiid, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal. I mean, Damian Lillard, his contract was so bad. I mean, it's because of the torn Achilles, but the Bucks had to push it out for the next 5 years where they're basically lighting $24 million on fire. So to call Chet Holmgren the dumbest contract in NBA history, it's it's for theater, or it's just a lack of understanding of actual terrible NBA contracts throughout the history of the league. So that's point number one. Really, to the really only strong argument that you could make, to, at least in my opinion, to say that this is maybe a risky type of a deal for the Oklahoma City Thunder is because of Chet's injury history. This is a thing that people were worried about with him coming into the NBA. This guy was a tall, thin dude. How is this guy going to fill out into his body over the course of his career? He missed his entire rookie season in the NBA. Now, I do think with that, he probably could have came back, but Oklahoma City was kind of like, yeah, we'll just push you off, and it's not worth it for you to play 15, 20, 30 games in this season. And then obviously this past season, he only played 32 games, but this is where I would counter that injury concerns. This is where I'd maybe not be as concerned about them as, maybe we would with someone like a Zion or a Joel Embiid, is because his injuries were kind of like freak. Like, the reason he was hurt this year was because he broke his hip on a fall. Like, these aren't like injuries that you're like, ooh, that's really scary. He tore his ACL and he's 21 years old. Ooh, he tore his Achilles. Like, it's an meniscus. Like, there's nothing that's like really kind of scary about some of these injuries. And two, the 2023-24 season, he played all 82 games. He played every single playoff game for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he also played the entire playoffs this entire year. He brought up the number stuff there. The reason his numbers aren't going to ever be like, oh my God, look at Chet Holmgren's box score. Look at his, numbers per game for his entire career. Is one, because he's the third option on this team. So he's never going to be a guy that's averaging high 20s on a basketball team unless he becomes the first or second option. So that's point number one. Two, he's only playing like 27, 28 minutes a game because Oklahoma City, as we've done several videos about them this year, they were just almost every single game this year. They won 68 games. They were beating the crap out of everybody. So most of the starters were not playing that many heavy minutes throughout the year. And if you actually look at his per 36, he's basically a 2010 guy with 3 blocks per game. That's pretty darn good. If you could get a guy that's playing 36 minutes a night, averaging 2010 and 3 blocks, that's a heck of a basketball player. Another reason that you might be a little bit skeptical of a deal, the playoffs for Chet were, at least offensively, for a lot of times, a little bit shaky. His shot didn't necessarily look that good. It looked like he had trouble, finding his offense, but he's 22 years old. He's 22 years old. And the thing that you should be really optimistic about that is that he did struggle and he's only 22 years old. What's he going to be like in the playoffs 3 years from now? Probably a lot more efficient, probably have a lot more experience. His frame will probably be a lot different than it is now. I have no concern that Chet Holmgren's going to be a very quality playoff player for many years to come. And by the way, what he did on defense was good enough for Oklahoma City to win a title. And if they didn't have his rim protection in a lot of these series, they would have been, in Oklahoma City probably wouldn't be NBA champions right now. And here's the reason why his take is just moronic. And it's just really, we kind of like went over some of this stuff already. But Chet Holmgren, this is a type of player, this is a prototype of a type of player that every single team in the NBA wants a Chet Holmgren. They want a guy who is long, he can switch on defense, he is a center that can stretch the floor, he can play the 5 in a small ball lineup, or you can play big and have him play the 4. He shoots 38% from 3, and again, he's only just going to become more efficient offensively. He's one of the most unique basketball players that we have. Or maybe not. That sounded kind of weird, but he's unique in the fact of like, hey, if this is your second or third option, you're in terrific shape. I was thinking about this. If you go back to like the 2022 NBA draft, we have the top 3 guys because if you guys don't remember, we didn't know who was going to be the top pick that night. Until like maybe a few hours before, if not maybe even an hour before that draft, because it was Paolo Banchero, Chet Holmgren, and Jabari Smith, and no one really knew how that top 3 was going to shake out. Eventually goes Paolo, Chet, Jabari. The way that shook out, I think in a way I think it definitely worked out for Orlando, but I definitely think it worked out well for Oklahoma City, because I think if you would have, let's say if Oklahoma City would have been in a position where they would have had to take Paolo or would have had to take Jabari, I think that Chet is the guy that's actually the way better fit for Oklahoma City and the way that they play basketball. This guy is a rim protector. This guy is going to be all defense. He's going to be competing for Defensive Player of the Year awards. And 2, the fact that he didn't sign the max. I want to point that out here. He did not sign the max contract. So what does that mean? That means the way that the NBA is set up, if you sign that rookie max extension, you have that escalator clause of, I believe I was reading about this. It's like, so if you sign the full max, you are 25% of your salary cap, right? But if you sign that max and then you make a third team All NBA, you win Defensive Player of the Year, you get a bump in your pay where all of a sudden it's 25% of the cap up to 30% of the cap. This happened with the Cleveland Cavaliers this past season, where Evan Mobley signs the rookie max extension. He wins Defensive Player of the Year. And then what happens to the Cavaliers? That pushes the Cleveland Cavaliers into the second apron, which prevents them from re-signing Ty Jerome, who was I know he played terribly in the playoffs, but he was a very key member of the Cavs for the entire season. He was a 6 Man of the Year candidate. And the fact that you have a guy that's a stretch 5 that can play the 4, he can play the 5. He's not a guy that he cares about stats. This guy is a proven playoff player, and really your only concerns are injuries. And I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll grow into his body a lot more. Maybe he'll get a little bit more cushion in his butt where he doesn't get those hip fractures to start off the season, which I do think, again, is a weird injury. He played all 82 a year ago. He played every game in the playoffs, and he's just scratching the surface. He's just scratching the surface. This guy's going to make all NBA teams. This guy's going to make all-star teams. He's going to make all defensive teams. Like that's the thing too. It's like, oh, he played 32 games this year. Yeah, if he would have played the 65 game limit though, or minimum, he would have. I think he definitely makes an all-defensive team. He might make an all-NBA team too. That is how good Chet Holmgren is. And again, he's only 22 years old. The sky's the limit for him. And when you already have a guy like SGA, when you already have a guy like Jalen Williams, if you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder contract situation, it does get kind of interesting. You have Alex Caruso signed to the rest of the decade. You have Hartenstein, who's got a team option next year. I think Dort has a team option after next year, too. They'll probably keep Dort, I would guess. I think they might have to decline Hartenstein and let him go into free agency again. But this team does have it set up. They do have it made for the rest of the decade, and Chet is going to be a part of that. And by the way, don't ever say that Sam Presti signs a dumb contract extension. Sam Presti, I'm going to say this because I don't think a lot of people know this. Sam Presti is a prodigy. He's a legit prodigy of a GM. This is a guy that was hired to be assistant GM of the San Antonio Spurs at 23 years old. From 2000 to 2007. Sam Presti is the assistant GM for the San Antonio Spurs, and that is their best run as a team with Sam Presti as assistant GM. He gets hired to be the OKC GM, VP of basketball operations at 30 years old. This guy's a prodigy. Let's just trust him. And the other times that, to his credit, the other times that he has signed these contracts that you maybe look back at and you're like, that Russell Westbrook deal. Well, he got off of it and he won that trade. The Paul George deal. Maybe that wasn't the best contract looking back at. Well, that turns out to be the greatest trade in NBA history getting off of that contract. So I trust Sam Presti. If you don't, and if you ever thought he wasn't a good GM, you're a moron. You're just a moron. You're a moron who does not understand basketball, that does not understand the NBA. And yeah, that's all I got to say. All right, that's going to do it for this episode here today. Thank you so much for watching. If you got this far in the video, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please leave a comment on what you think about this video, other topics that we should do as we are getting into the dog days of sports content. Other people are taking vacations right now, not me. I'm recording this Saturday afternoon, and hopefully I can record something tomorrow. I got some stuff coming up next week. We're gearing into football season. So make sure you subscribe if you like that content and content like this. And check out other videos on the Sports Detective Podcast channel page. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.